So time doesn't half fly, does it? It doesn't feel like a year since we were sat here and it was Royal Ascot time, but we're here again, and well, the limelight's been shared a little bit this year, but it's time for the Royal meeting once again, and Matt Gardner's alongside me to run through day one of the card, and it looks an interesting card, Matt.
It does, yeah, plenty to go on, I think, isn't there? Plenty to look forward to for the week as well, I think. Ascot's one of those meetings where you've got a bit of everything, don't you? You've got the Group 1s, you've got the 2-year-olds where you're looking not only 2-year-old races the rest of the year, you're looking classics next year. You've got the handicaps where you've often got to be potential Group horse to win them, don't you? So, yeah, a bit of everything, I think. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and it's nice in World Cup year as well that there seems to be plenty of international raiders hoping to take the chance. Plenty of American, Australian and, well, Irish they're used to coming over here. But we'll kick off with the curtain raiser, the Queen Anne Stakes, Group 1 of course, and looking at this field at the moment, it looks one of the most open Queen Anne's of recent years. Rhododendron, the Lockinge winner, is the current favourite. Where are you going in this race?
Yeah, like you say, I think it looks one of the most open Queen Anne's. I mean, to be brutally honest, it's probably one of the worst Queen Anne's we've seen for a while. Like I
was trying to be polite.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't think there's anything bad about that, because in essence, I think once you say that and admit that, it sort of opens it up a little bit. We do have Lightning Spear and Rhododendron. Obviously, nothing between them after the Lockinge. They're actually joint tops with us. There is really going to be nothing between them. I think you look at the betting. Really, Lightning Spear's overpriced. He's 7-8 to 1. There shouldn't be that much between them in the market. Not to say that I necessarily fancy Lightning Spear to win. He's had loads of goes. He's going to run his race, isn't he? But can I bring myself to back him in a Queen Anne? Not really, I don't think. Rhododendron had absolutely everything go her way for me at Newbury. She had the pace angle. She got a dream run through, didn't she?
She's got Deauville again. Will it be a case of Aidan O'Brien same again, lads?
Probably try again. Yeah, why not? It worked before. There's no reason to say why it wouldn't work again. You look at a 3-1, 11-4. There's nothing in that, I don't think, is there either, really? So it's really open. So after that, you're looking at the likes of Limato, who for me is not really a miler, particularly at Ascot. I can see why they're trying it again.
Can you? I think he's had a lot of chances.
He's had a lot of goes, but I think you've got to roll the dice sometimes. And he's been around a while now, hasn't he? So even if you said, right, we're going to stick to 7 films, he's not a shoo-in for those races either, is he? So I can see to an extent why I'm trying it again, but I don't think he is a miler. Bigger price ones, there's the French horse Recoletos, who I think this is going to be that one's ideal trip. They've sort of tried him up to 1.25 miles and a little bit beyond, I think, in the past. I think mile 1's going to be right up his street. Lord Glitters, I can see outrunning his price. The ground would be the question, I suppose. If it is quicker, good to firm. Most of his forms come on softer ground. I think I'm going to end up back in Ben Battle though. I don't think there's much in the price. And I know people say Maiden form, take it with a pinch of salt, and to an extent I agree in a lot of cases, but I think Ben Battle's a little bit different in the sense that you look at what he did last year. Generally he was quite upwardly mobile, so what he did at Maiden wasn't a real bolt from the blue. He showed a decent turn of foot over 1.1 miles. I don't think he'll struggle to cope back at 1 mile. Like I said, I don't think there's much in the price, and I've sort of been trying to talk myself out of it a little bit, but I can definitely see myself ending up backing him just because I don't really fancy that much else in it. So it is competitive. I think Ben Battle will be the way that I go, but it will definitely be a cautious approach.
Yeah, I think looking at the market, I'm glad you mentioned Rhododendron's price. Odds checkers mugged me right off. It says she's 97 to 29. I was sat there trying to work out what that was.
Get your calculator after that one, yeah.
But yeah, it should be a really interesting race. But it's one of those, I think, where you wouldn't be surprised if half the field won, really.
No, and that's why I definitely look at something like Lord Glitters. Mindful of the ground. There are a couple in there at bigger prices. Recoletos, I think, is probably a little bit too big as well. It is open, isn't it? It's just not Queen. Essentially, it's not. But it is an open and competitive race to start the week. Yeah.
So you go with Ben Battle then?
I would. I would do. Yeah, I think
tickle Lord Glitters at 20s each way potentially.
Yeah. I think I would. Yeah.
Okay, we'll jump into the Coventry Stakes, which looks a lot hotter. First 2-year-old race of the week, of course, and a couple of really good ones in here so far. Well, they've looked good anyway. The elegantly named Sergi Prokofiev. Yeah. Honestly, a commentator's nightmare, that one.
I know.
And then Calix, which rolls off the time much easier. They're clear of the field in their prices, 5-2, 11-4 respectively. Are they the two to concentrate on here?
They are, I think, in terms of form potential. They're both potentially really good, aren't they? I mean, Sergei Prokofiev. I mean, I can't believe he's not 3 from 3 really. How he didn't win on debut, I don't know.
It's bizarre, that race, wasn't it, at Dundalk? Yeah.
Very strange. He looked like, for all the world, like he was going to win, didn't he? He somehow managed not to. He's looked really professional since. He's definitely going to be really smart, isn't he? Calix is potentially the real deal, I think. For a horse to run to as big a figure as he did on debut, bare form was 99 with us. Obviously, the sectional markup on top of that. There was a bit of a debate in the sense that it was quite a slowly run race. So yes, his finish was going to be fast, but I think his finish was exceptionally fast. Even taking that into account, so that's where the sectional markups come from. He's definitely a group horse, isn't he? Obviously, really exciting for Kingman as well.
Kingman's first
runner, definitely first winner. Maybe I think first runner as well.
Take that, Franco.
Yeah. The one thing in the back of my mind a little bit with Calix is that he looked potentially a bit flighty. So it's 10 days on from that. Obviously a very different environment. Ascot, big field. How he copes with that's going to be key.
He's got to be very good, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he is. I think he probably is very good. But it's a case of whether he can just sort of take that into his stride and really show his true colours. I think Cosmic Law as well. He's definitely worth a look. I think his Epsom win I was actually quite impressed with. He's bang up there in terms of form with Sergei Prokofiev. There's not actually, there's any pound between those two with us. Obviously it's different ground. That was on soft ground at Epsom. It was the first day, wasn't it? So again, it's going to be different. A much bigger field than he had there as well. But I think physically he's quite a nice type, and I definitely expect further progress from him. There's loads, there's lots of horses that are going to be open to improvement. The one that I've kind of watched quite a few videos, and the one that I did quite like the look of was Indigo Balance for Jesse Harrington. Made a really impressive winning debut at the Curragh. I think having watched the replay, he went from sort of second last to first in about a furlong, and that move was really impressive. The form's worked out pretty well. It's already produced a couple of winners. He saw it out pretty strongly. So it's going to be another massive step up for him. But he's from a smart family. He's related to Cable Bay, Seawolf, I think, as well. He was a pretty smart horse. So again, a very different environment. But I think he's a pretty big price, and I was really impressed with that debut. So he'd definitely be one that I'd look at as well. Yeah,
so you've got a piece on the Magso, which is going to go up once we finish this. I haven't got around to uploading it yet, and you picked a next best and a long shot, and Cosmic Law's your long shot here.
Indigo Balances.
Oh, sorry, I've misread you.
Indigo Balance. I do like Cosmic Law, and it's he's probably not going to be good enough to win, particularly if Calix or Sergei Prokofiev kind of really do what we think they're capable of doing. But there are a couple of firms that are going 4 places. I'd definitely be looking at that. If you can get the 4 places, I think keep you banging there. You're looking 14, 16 to 1 there or thereabouts. And if Calix, boils over in the prelims, if Sergei Prokofiev doesn't live up to billing, Indigo Balance is right in there with a good form chance. So it's a big price. Calix could be out of the ordinary. But yeah, for me, in terms of a long shot, Indigo Balance fit the bill.
Showing my skills as a terrible sub-editor there. So Indigo Balance as an each way? Or?
Yeah. I mean, I'd probably play. Yeah, I'd probably back him in the win market. I'd back him in the place market as well. Yeah,
16 to 1, juicy enough. Anyway. Yeah. And on to tomorrow's feature, the King Stand Stakes, which at first glance could be the could be the race of the week. It looks like a match race between Lady Aurelia and Batash in the betting, 2-1, 5-2 apiece. Is that your thinking as well?
Yeah, I think it is. Blue Point obviously would be the one that would be in prime position to take advantage if either of those don't fire. The key for Batash is going to be how he handles the prelims, isn't it? We've seen him boil over before. He can get pretty fractious down at the start. How he takes the preliminaries is going to be key. Obviously, Lady Aurelia, now we know plenty about her, don't we? She's a real speedball. We've seen her, plenty of times. Her chance is kind of there for all to see. Batash is the one that comes out top on the time form figures by a couple of pounds. There's a big break back to the rest, understandably. I'm not really tempted to be piling into either of them, to be honest, because I do have concerns about Batash in the preliminaries. Lady Aurelia, absolutely, she's very, very talented, but we've seen equally that she can be beaten. Again, if I was looking in terms of how to play this race, there's plenty of pace. They're going to go hard, aren't they? You've got Catchy, you've got Gifted Master, Blue Point, obviously, as well. So I'd probably be looking at something like Mabs Cross to pick up the pieces. The way that she did, really, behind Batash in the Temple, they didn't actually go that hard that day, and she stayed on pretty well for fourth. She's likeable, she's consistent, she's really straightforward. She's probably going to be taken off her feet in the first couple of furlongs, but she does stick to her guns pretty well, and all it takes is one or two to underperform, and she can be banging there, sort of first four, first five. So that would be the way that I'd look at it. But it's like you say, it's in terms of the clash between the two, it's really exciting. I'd probably say Batash is the better horse, but it all depends on what happens before the race, I think.
We know the trouble that Catchy can cause both for himself and the field. Will he be a concern to Lady Aurelia, or is she just has the potential to just be too quick? She's blisteringly quick, isn't she?
They're in stall 6 and 7, aren't they? Batash a little way away in stall 9. He can hang, can't he? To say the least. He is very quick. Lady Aurelia is supremely quick, isn't she? So I suspect, you'd hope anyway, that connections with Lady Aurelia would be live to that threat and might be able to sort of try and do something about it. But definitely something to bear in mind, Joe.
Yeah, so you tickle Mabs Cross there, and
I would, yeah. It's one where I'd be more watching in terms of Batash, Lady Aurelia, but to have you have a bit of an interest in the race, I'd definitely be looking Mabs Cross to pick up pieces for a place. Yeah,
really improving, isn't she? Yeah, really improving type. Yeah. So we'll jump into the St James's Palace now, and we've been treated in recent years to some superstars in the St James's Palace, and the vibes around the current favourite Without Parole is that he could be in the same bracket.
Absolutely, yeah. Again, in a similar way to Calix back in, or also again Prokofiev, to be honest, in the commentary, Without Parole could be sort of the proper horse in this, couldn't he? I think the rest of them, to a large extent, much of a muchness. I don't think there's a great deal between them. But Without Parole, obviously, he's 3 from 3. He scrambled home a little bit, didn't he, at Sandown last time, but obviously that was soft ground. Didn't really seem to suit him.
Took a little while to get himself organised.
He did, yeah. And it was only his third race. His second race of the year. He hadn't really been tested prior to that, 2 6-length wins. He's not learning a great deal, is he? So I suspect he'll learn plenty from that. They sort of seemed quite keen to mind him on the ground, and it was a case of just getting the job done rather than really extending him. I suspect we'll see a much more explosive performance from him tomorrow. Again, he could be the proper horse in this, but that's factored into the market. There's not really anything in the price. I looked earlier on; he was kind of around the 11-4 mark, something like that.
Yeah, that's what got in front of me.
Still around there, yeah.
So.
And that's fair enough. But equally, you wouldn't necessarily say he should be that much shorter, given that he does, on form, have a bit to find with the likes of Romanised, Tip to Win.
There is classic form in behind him, isn't there?
Yeah, so. Even Gustav Klimt's obviously been a little bit disappointing on his last 2 starts, but you go back to what he looked like. His first start back this year was really impressive. So definitely Without Parole definitely has something to find, but he could be more than capable of finding it. In terms of a bet for the race. My next best going into the article would be Wootton from France. He won his first 3. including a Group 3 where he beat Olmedo. He showed a really good attitude that day. Olmedo came to him, challenged him, and Wootton sort of saw him off. You can forget his run in the French Guineas. He was caught wide, pulled really hard. It was a kind of funny race where they sort of steadied mid-race, and at that point Wootton went from kind of out the back to pretty prominent, burnt loads of energy at that point, and even so he was only beaten less than 2 lengths. That form hasn't necessarily worked out well. Obviously Olmedo was beaten after. There's a few in behind that again haven't really built on that since, but going back to his previous form, he did look very progressive. I suspect they'll probably try and go back to slightly more prominent tactics. There doesn't look to be a great deal of pace. US Navy flag you'd think could make it, but in terms of riding him prominently and hopefully he settles a little bit better, I could definitely see him getting back on the up. So 7-8 to 1 about Wootton was for me a decent bet in the race.
Yeah, and it is worth saying that he does have a habit, the French classic form, of being a bit muddling at the best of times, isn't it? What about a quick word on Tip 2 Win? It's a real chance for a smaller stable here in a Group 1. They might, David Probert's on board, might not got a better chance to win a Group 1 than here. He was magnificent in the Guineas.
Yeah, really good. No fluke about it, I didn't think either. Obviously split Saxon Warrior and Massar. Your temptation is to sort of write those off as one-off performances, but you go back and watch it and there's not really anything in it to suggest why he should be obviously flattered. Obviously it was a huge step up from him compared to what he'd shown previously, but he'd won 3 of his previous 4. So he was no back number really. It was just a case of a massive improvement on his second start as a 3-year-old, which if you explain it that way is fairly straightforward, isn't it? So he's got a really good form chance. He's second in behind Romanised, so without Parole could be a star. The rest of them there's not much between, so again it's more a case of looking for a bit of value, and yeah, for me Wootton sort of represented that.
Just glancing at the form then on your computer, it's great to see 2 of the smaller tracks. The top 2 in the market have Yarmouth form and Doha form to their...
No, absolutely, you wouldn't get that very often in a Group 1, would you?
No, it's like beating Macclesfield in the FA Cup. Sorry to Macclesfield, that's not very nice, was it? So 2 to go. We'll go to the Ascot Stakes up next. 20 set to go to Poston. Again, as you'd expect, wide open handicap over 2 and a bit miles. And how do you approach races like this? Do you look for ones who are stepping up in trip or well treated, or a combination of all really?
It's tricky, isn't it? I think this race in particular is complicated by the presence of the Willie Mullins horses. We've seen over the last few years he really does target these races, doesn't he? Obviously Stamina is going to be at a premium here. A lot of them, you're not really getting any sort of unexposed horses in this sort of race because of the way it's working in terms of getting in. It's tough for those horses, those improvers, so you tend to get relatively exposed horses. I suppose in a way the one that would be slightly different would be Danny Day. Obviously very late the race, hasn't been the easiest to train. Won the consolation race for the Northumberland Plate a couple of years ago. Stamina you wouldn't have thought was going to be a problem for him. I think he should be more than capable of seeing this out. The big question is going to be how he takes his racing. It's a relatively quick turnaround in terms of his career from Goodwood, where he finished 4th. He did shape as if he retained plenty of ability, but I'd have my doubts in terms of whether he can go the right way from that. The Willie Mullins horses are obviously, they necessitate interest. You've got Stratum, who has been hurdling, fit from a recent spin over hurdles, presumably with an eye on this. Has been sparingly raced again in recent years, so it's more a case of the Willie Mullins threat rather than him necessarily having an outstanding form claim. And similar really for the other interesting couple that you've got, Mary DeVee and Chelcar. Obviously Chelcar, Ryan Moore jocked up, that's caught the eye of plenty, been a bit of a talking horse really, hasn't he? We've not seen him for 2 years, not seen him off Willie Mullins, so that is really, but his price really is built on what Mullins has done in that race in the last couple of years.
Yeah, 7 to 1, 2 years without a run.
Exactly. Yeah, it's mad really. Marie DeVee obviously was a winner at Punchestown over hurdles. She is the sort that you can see her turning into this sort of mixed code reformer, flat jumps. She doesn't really have the obvious profile of the chaser, so I can definitely see why they're trying this. There's a few really that you just kind of don't fancy in terms of being well enough treated to win this. I think Coeur de Lion is going to be right up his street. A real stamina test is really going to suit him. I think if you're a Coeur de Lion backer, don't be worried if he's off the bridle a little way out. That's kind of his style. But he'll stay really well. And in terms of horses that are just going to run their race, the Bowie 50 would be top of the list for me. He's very, very consistent, very likeable. I think for his last run, where he's a little bit undercooked, he was quite free through the first sort of half mile, and I think that just sort of cost him at the end. If he settled better, I'd have him somewhere near the top of the list. I think Cleonte for Andrew Balding as well has stamina and abundance, and this sort of test is really going to suit him. So I'd have my doubts about Danny Day. I can't bring myself to back likes of Chelcar at that price. So I'd be looking at, in terms of those that are going to give you a run for the money, the Bowie 50, Cleonte and Coeur de Lion would be top of the list. It's competitive, it's tight, but you know, I think having a couple of darts in here wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, well, nice prices. 8-1 Coeur de Lion, 14s to Bowie 50 and 33s Cleonte.
Yeah, it is a big price that. I think stamina is definitely going to suit him. The stamina test is definitely going to suit him. He probably needs to improve a little bit from this sort of mark to win it, but I can definitely see him being there or thereabouts, yeah.
Okay, great. One to go. And most pundits, when they're doing this, tend to go to the Group 1s for their nap, but Mr. Matt Gardner has picked the Wolferton Stakes for his best bet of the day.
Yeah, first time this has been run as a non-handicap. So obviously you've got horses carrying listed penalties, carrying group penalties. That's the likes of Mirage Dancer's got a listed penalty for his win last time. Fabricate, obviously, and Monarch's Glen as well. So, yeah, for me, Sharjah Bridge ticks pretty much every box going. He's top rated, he's got a P, he's a horse in focus, and I think he's got the strongest piece of form and the best profile. Lightly raced last year, won at Nottingham, second in a strong handicap at Sandown, and then he ran an absolute belter at Newmarket. Beaten by Oasis Charm, another progressive horse. Third Time Lucky, who's well treated, was back in third. Bandit Tree, who's been running really well since, was back in fourth. Spark Plug, Barocco, all horses that have run well since, all sort of in the first half dozen. So really strong form. Sharjah Bridge shaped really well. Going up another furlong in trip is going to be ideal for him. Obviously that was a handicap he's going into a level weights race. But such is the strength of that form that he comes out on top of horses that have won listed races or been placed in listed races. So he's upwardly mobile. This is only going to be his sixth race or fifth race, I think it is. So definitely going to be some further improvement. And I think with the trip as well, you know, he's from a talented family that win races up to sort of 1.25 miles, 1.5 miles. And yeah, for me, 7-1, I can't really see any reason not to back him at that sort of price.
Very good. That's a very strong case made for him there, and it is wide open. One that stands out is one with the time form connection, the Dixons and Big Country. He's one they've had a lot of fun with in recent months, and well, last couple of seasons even. Yeah, absolutely. And I think tactically, Big Country made all or just about made all at Redcar last time. He's got a low draw in 2. There's not really that much pace on. There's a potential for this to get a little bit messy actually. And you know, we see it at Ascot quite often where they're sort of well bunched turning in. Big Country is definitely not going to go down without a fight. He's really likeable. So, you know, Luke Morrison, if they do decide to go to the front and try and make the best of it, then he's probably going to be quite hard to pass. Whether he's quite good enough to win this sort of race or not, I'm not sure. There might just be 1 or 2 too good, but you can definitely see Big Country running this race. Yeah, would it be career best territory for him? If
it would, it would. It was career best last time.
Yeah,
to win at Redcar. I thought he kind of idled a little bit close home, so there is the chance that he could pull out a little bit more. He's going to have to, I think, but he's really likeable. I think riding him prominently will be the way to go again. You know, there's not that much pace on in here, so yeah, definitely see him running his race. Yeah,
great. Should be really interesting day tomorrow, and we'll close on the only question worth closing on: how many goals are England going to batter Tunisia by tonight?
You'd fancy a couple, wouldn't you? At least.
Oh, you'd hope. You'd hope so. Have you seen the BBC have released a video? What happens when we're going to win the World Cup?
Really?
Shame on them. Honestly, everyone's getting far too excited now. I know. I know. Germany lose, and we suddenly lose our control, don't we?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, looking forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah, 5-0 England anyway.